Welcome back to the channel, everyone. This week we're going to have a look at a Zebco 2600 portable camp stove that I picked up in the free pile at a yard sale. It's pretty mangy looking. Can we save it? I'm not sure. So let's find out. This disgusting Zebco Traveler 2600 2-burner propane camp stove was in the free pile at a yard sale I went to recently. I mean, it is really rough. I don't know if I can save it or not, but hey, the price was right. It was free, so why not give it a shot. I don't know anything about this. I don't know anything about these things. I have a nice Coleman camp stove that uses the fuel in a can rather than the propane, but this one uses propane, and it's missing. I guess there's a hose that connects there. Let's see if I can get it open. Pretty rough, like I say, but it seems to be there. Can we clean it up? Will it work? I don't know. These are, I think, the controls for the gas. I've looked online. I can't find a manual for it. But it might be fun to clean it up. So I think these parts lift up and come off, but I'm not sure. But anyway, let's see if we can clean it up. And who knows? Maybe we can get it to work. We got nothing to lose but a little time and effort, and time is something I have plenty of at this point in my life. So let's get into it. This looks like it might be okay. I don't know. We shall see. I'm going to try to clean these burners up a little bit. Years ago at a garage sale, I bought a couple of tubes of this stuff that was unopened, and it works pretty good. It's not as good as Flitz, but I forget what I paid for it. It wasn't much, but it's good for a little bit rougher work. Like it's almost like a coarser abrasive, but for stuff like this, it's just fine. So This is what I've been doing for taking off the, like a little bit of corrosion. There, that's not bad. I think, in my opinion, Flitz is a little better for if you want a real mirror polish, but this is this stuff is doing the job for a little bit. I don't care too much about a real mirror polish here. I'm just trying to get the grunge off of it. And it's working pretty good for that. So you can see the difference. Let's see how it works on this. I may have to use the Dremel on this part. Probably will. Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to have to do a little bit of scraping on that. And I've already done the tops here with this stuff. And I tried some Brasso, but this stuff works a little better. So I'm going to get the Dremel out. First I'm going to do this. Then I'll get the Dremel out and work on these a little. Alright, I'm going to use a 80 grit bristle disc and clean these things up a little bit. Looks better. I might go over it with a 120 grit and then call it good after that. Might polish it with Flitz. I'm not sure yet. It's just got to be functional and look decent. So you get the idea. I'm going to do the other one now. This could turn out to be the most expensive free item I've ever picked up. I've spent probably almost a couple of weeks now trying to figure out the right combination of fittings to make this, which is the burner part of the propane stove, to fit this into a little disposable propane cylinder. And you can see I've got quite a collection of fittings that I've accumulated over the years, and I was able to scrounge together enough pieces to I think figure out what I need. So anyway, like I said, it was it could turn out to be more expensive than I had hoped when I picked up this free item.
It's just money. It's made up.
Anyway, with the combination of adapters and a hose that I purchased at Ace Hardware, and a few more bits and pieces, I think I'm going to be able to hook it up. So it took a lot of I thought about giving up on this a couple of times, but I was very determined that I was going to make this thing work.
I eat determination for breakfast.
So let's put the pieces together and see if maybe it will work. I want to make sure the burners work. I can get the burners to work before I spend any time on the cosmetic cleanup. So let's put it together and see if it works. Cool ranch, huh? That should do it. Okay, here goes the first test of the new setup. Propane tank on. Burner on. Oh yeah. Both burners cooking with gas. I like it. Let's let the purge those lines while we're at it. Now that I know that this unit is operational and functional, I feel comfortable with continuing with the cosmetic restoration. So that's what I'm going to start on now. Alright, I'm out in the backyard with the parts of the propane stove. And I gave them a going over with Brillo pad. And I got a lot of the grease off, but not all of it. It's really, really stubborn. And I really did a dumb thing. I was working with the, oh, here it is. I was working with the coarse Scotch-Brite pad, and I managed to destroy part of the lettering there. Dumb mistake. Anyway, I think the rest of it I can do in the garage. I'm going to have to use the wire brush on the wireless, and there are some rust spots. I think I can put some rust treatment on there and make it look a little bit better. But it's not going to look new, but I think if I do that and put some wax on it, it might look acceptable. So that's where I am now. These parts here of the stove are covers for the burner and a place to put your coffee pot or skillet or whatever you want on there. They were really nasty and grungy, and there was a lot of baked on grease, which I was able to get off that stuff with, you know, just degreaser and working at it. But the problem now is rust, and this rust, these rust places are really, really hard to get off. I've tried I've tried sandpaper, steel wool. They're just very difficult to get off. So I went to Home Depot and bought some of this stuff. And I've already done part of it here. The stuff really works. But it is very powerful stuff, and you got to be careful with it. You just have to heed the warnings on here. You don't want to get it on your hands. Take it from one who knows. That's a bad idea. So anyway, it does work though. You put this stuff on and wait about 20 minutes, and then I wiped it off with wiped and scrubbed a little bit with some coarse steel wool, and for the most part it comes off. There's a few little spots I'm going to have to use the Dremel and the wire brush on, but it works pretty good. So let's give it another treatment here. You really got to be careful with this stuff because it's pretty rank stuff. I think it's got hydrochloric acid in it, and it's not to be trifled with, but it does work. So I will. This is the worst of the two pans. I think the other one's not quite as bad. So I'll come back in about 20 minutes, and we'll see how it does. Okay, it's been almost 25 minutes since I put that rust remover stuff, Rust Aid it's called, and let's see how it did. Yeah, some of it's coming off. Man, this stuff is really stubborn. But it's working. It's just the stuff is really, really stubborn. I'm going to do the best I can with this. It is getting most of it, I will say. But some of it is really in there. Yeah, it's kind of got to scrub it a little bit. I think I better quit and get some ventilation in here. I'm gonna get some ventilation in here and let this sit a little bit longer. So this is you got to be careful with this stuff. So you get the idea. I'm going to do the other one best I can, and then go to work on the rest of it with a little wire brush and the Dremel, I think. I have been scrubbing on these things for the better part of a week now, and I don't think they're going to get any better than this. A lot of this stuff left here is, I believe, just staining. There was dried on grease. There was rust. There was just dirt. All kinds of stuff on there. I used the rust remover. I tried all kinds of stuff. Used the wire wheel on the Dremel. I used Gojo hand cleaner. I used Barkeeper's Friend. The last thing I did was Comet. And a lot of elbow grease. And they still don't look very good, but they sure do look better than they did. So I think I'm going to have to declare victory and pull out on these. So anyway, that's as good as it's going to do. I was thinking when I use this thing, I might cover this part, cut some slits and some aluminum foil, and cover this part to see if I can keep it from getting any worse. But anyway, that's where I am now. So let's go on to the outer shell of this thing. The inside of this case is really not that bad. I think this is mainly dirt and grime. So I'm going to go to work with the whatever's in there. I don't think it's 409. I think it's probably Purple Power cut with some water. It's whatever I have on hand I pour in there. But anyway, it's some kind of degreaser cleaner. And I'm going to hit it with this, and this is like a medium Scotch-Brite pad. See if I can cut some of this grime out of there. There may be a little bit of rust, but I think it's mostly just dirt. So I'm working on the inside of the case now. And then we'll, after I get this cleaned up as best I can, we'll go to work on the outside, which is going to be more of a challenge, I think. I'm thinking about maybe using some cleaner wax on the inside of this, which could be a mistake. I don't know, because it'll probably get hot in here, but I just don't know. We'll find out together, I guess. That's what it's all about. Learning how to do stuff and having some fun. So I'm going to continue to work on this, and we'll take a look and see what it looks like in a little bit. Here's the inside of the case after a coat of Mother's California Gold cleaner wax. Polished it up pretty good. I'm not sure if wax is a good idea on this or not, but it'll, you know, if it's not a good idea, it'll burn off, I guess, from the heat. Anyway, makes it look a little better, and I didn't get too carried away with the rust here. There's not that much rust inside here, so I figure the wax might keep it from rusting anymore. So anyway, that's where we are now. I think we're about ready to start on the outside of the case. My plan for the outside of this case is, I think it's pretty nasty looking. That's rust. So here's what I'm going to do. For better or worse, I'm going to clean it up as best I can. I'm going to sand it down, try to prep it, and I'm going to use some of this high temperature engine enamel on it. Black, gloss black, and we'll see how that goes. I do not know if it's going to look better or worse. I think it'll look better, but we're going to find out together. So next step is cleaning and sanding of the outside of the case. Unfortunately, I have not been able to save any of the graphics on this thing. I tried masking them off when I was using the rust converter on here, and when I pulled the blue tape off, all the graphics came off with it. So too bad, but that's just the way it's going to have to be. So I worked on this with 100 grit to get most of the rust off. I may work with a little bit more, but now I'm going to go to work with the 220, kind of get it smoothed down for paint. So this is taking a lot of elbow grease. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to try to get the surface prepared for that high temperature engine paint that I'm going to put on here. Here is the outer shell of the camp stove. I think I've gotten most of the rust off of it. If there's any left, it's very little. The insides I just cleaned up and used some cleaner wax on it. But the outsides, I sanded most of the rust away. I decided not to strip it. Used 100 grit for the stubborn stuff, and then I went down to 220. It's pretty smooth. Used the bristle discs to get in some of the hard to get places, and wiped it down real good with mineral spirits a couple of times. So I think that's about as far as I'm going to go as far as surface prep. So next step will be applying some engine paint. We'll see how that goes. The time has arrived to put this thing back together. It's as good as it's going to get. It's okay, not the best finish in the world, but it's going to have to do. So let's see, I think we'll begin by putting the pins in and putting the two halves together. So let's let me get set up for that, and I'll bring you back. These little pieces are to protect the hose from the sharp edges. My friend George at You Wanna Watch sent me this little East Coast set a while back, and I'm going to use it now. There. Perfect. It was kind of a chore getting these things put back. They're just kind of a press fit. And I had to do a little bit of bending and shaping, but got them in there. I painted these things with the high temperature engine paint. I don't know why, I just did. It pleased me. Anyway, it's quite unfortunate that I was not able to get these things looking any better. This is not really rust, I don't think. It's staining of some kind. But for better or worse, it's back together. So, it goes like this. And I think I could clean that up a little better right there. But there it is. So I think what I'll do is get the Dremel, see if I can clean these up a little bit. And after that, we'll try it out, see if it works. It took about 5 minutes to boil, and I'm going to let it percolate for about 4 or 5 minutes. Thanks, Jesse. Ooh, hot. Hot but good. Oh yeah. Hope you enjoyed the cleanup of that Zebco 2600 camp stove. Now I believe I know why it was in the free pile. It took some work, but I think it turned out well, and I think it'll prove to be useful around here, I hope. So with that, we'll conclude this episode. We'll see you next time. Thank you very much for watching. Please leave me a comment, and we'll say goodbye for now. Bye.